Volume 16 is a miniseries exploring different hosts for Venom. First, an overworked and underappreciated Jen notices Eddie running into the church with a gun and stops him from offing himself. But as they talk, the symbiote possesses Jen, using her strength to cause chaos while causing her to forget their bonding every time they're done. It exhausts her, making it impossible for her to work her office job while repeatedly taking her unconscious body for a joyride, and she eventually loses her job and becomes homeless, yet the possession continues for years. One night, Venom Jen is stopped from murdering a gang by Sabretooth, who fights her while using a tonic belt to weaken them. He takes a sample of the symbiote and runs, Jen being held back from pursuing him. Jen is at the end of her rope, but is found by Moon Knight avatar Jake Lockley, who tells her he can help. Meanwhile, Sabretooth tries to sell the symbiote to the Triad, but Logan kills his contacts and ambushes him, and in the struggle he slices open the container and is possessed, Sabretooth revealing this is his plan all along. The symbiote locks Logan in his own mind as it rampages with his body, enjoying it more than Jen's, but through sheer strength and willpower, Logan breaks free, telling it he's going to be the one calling the shots, and is soon met by Moon Knight avatar Stephen Grant, who also tells him he can help. Meanwhile, Strange, looking into what the newspaper is calling a boogeyman, investigates where Logan and Sabretooth's brawl occurred to discover part of the symbiote disguising itself as the container. It leaps at him, and Strange seems to fend it off as he goes home and tells Wong he couldn't find it. Wong takes the night off when Strange is suddenly visited by Amora, who attempts to seduce him through magic, but changes her mind and attempts to kill Strange to take over his home. And it's revealed Strange's cloak was actually the symbiote, who tries to help Strange fight off Amora, but he freezes it and fights her himself. She turns out to be more than he planned for, thus he accepts the symbiote's help, and their combined magical abilities fend off Amora. But it takes advantage of Strange's trust and possesses him, nearly devouring Amora before she teleports out. It tries to fully take over Strange, but he banishes it out of him, then attempts to keep it contained, only for it to sneak up and take him over again. He tries bargaining with it, but Moon Knight avatar Marc Spector shows up to take him to Moon Knight headquarters, where he can hopefully help and get help. Meanwhile, Moon Knight is bombarded with nightmares and hallucinations involving a dark, shadowy figure who seems to possess both him and his god Khonshu. And it turns out to be Loki, who is somehow also possessed by symbiote and who appears to somehow kill Khonshu. And this was all his plan to get the symbiote's fragment together, and the avatars we saw were fake, who had the heroes locked in the mission's basement, including a possessed Khonshu, maybe? Moon Knight gathers his actual avatars together, and they all face off against the Venomized Loki, revealing Moon Knight has also been venomized, but he's not under the other's control for some reason, and stuns the symbiote long enough to detach it from Loki and free the heroes. Strange imprisons the fragments, and S.H.I.E.L.D. suddenly shows up to take Loki and the symbiote into custody, and it ends with Jen being hired as Moon Knight's legal advisor. I wasn't hugely impressed with this story from the start, especially with how padded it feels to make a page count, but I like the heroes reacting to it in their unique ways, and it did keep my attention for the first 3 issues. But then we get to Moon Knight, and it completely loses me and becomes an incoherent mess. I was mostly just guessing at what was going on for the finale, and I have no idea why Loki is suddenly here and possessed by a symbiote. I don't even know why this is a what if. It could have easily been a main story where it detaches from the current Venom and goes hero hopping, especially since it takes years for the story to get from that moment in the church to the modern era it takes place in. This one just makes my brain hurt, and is one I unfortunately have to recommend you skip. Literally any other Venom story we've already covered is more worth your time than this one.